And I'm actually going to get right into it. And you really want to know how. You know, how can I blaze my own path? How can I be successful? How can I follow the path that someone else has laid for me to be successful?
All right, guys, what's up? This is episode 220 of Campus Cuts. 220, 220. I got one of my great friends, one of my bros. We don't talk all the time, but whenever we talk, man, I'm telling you, like this guy from freshman year all the way to now, I've been cheering him on, and I'm super grateful to who he is. His family has been such godsends. He's talented. He has traveled. He's an enigma. He's an enigma. And smart, and the type of person that he is. I just want to welcome Khaki / Trey. But
I'm not sure if I even know the definition of enigma.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I know what the word means. I know it's like, it's not. If I explain, I'm gonna sound dumb. I'm not gonna lie. Don't know the word.
Welcome to the show, bro. I've been trying to get you on for weeks. We've been trying to do this for a minute.
Bro, I have. The scheduling, it's not even like that I'm busy. It's just that I don't know when I'm going to start doing something.
Yeah.
You know, like sometimes I'm like, I have certain things on the table. I have like songs and I have like whiteboards of things that I need to be doing. But it's sporadic right now just because there's no actual responsibility during Corona except continue to pay for the things I have to pay for.
Right. Just play the fixed expenses, and then after that, that's it.
Right.
That is it, bro. Well, I mean, welcome to Campus Cuts. I told you off air what this is about. Basically, it's the mission statement is a multi-generational and a multi-cultural show that has people just come into the barbershop and walk and just chop it up. Obviously, we're in my closet, but that doesn't stop the conversation. That doesn't stop barbershop talk.
Oh, we're in my bedroom. It's on my laundry.
Gang. But, bro, it is so good to have you on. You were actually one of the very first people that I've always wanted to have onto the show, but it just happened that it took now season 2 to do it, but it's done. It's here. We're here.
Yeah.
Bro.
We did it. It only took a worldwide epidemic to do it. That's all it took.
It took a worldwide epidemic, but it's good because you know what? You've been up to a lot, bro. So,
yeah, bro.
Before we get into like what who you are, what you do, just give a short introduction. Usually I ask my guests your name, your year, your major, and your hometown, and after that, I ask a follow-up question of why did you choose Baylor, and then after that we move on from there.
Oh, I got you. So my name is Trey. I go by Khaki as an artist. I'm technically a junior. I'm taking a semester for music. I started recording forever ago, but I started actually releasing and making music and touring with our group in like August. I did a couple shows over the summer of 2019 with a group called Keep Waco Loud, which is a great group that took me on. And we've been doing a lot of shows in Waco before the pandemic. And then touring with So Far Sounds, and that's who we've been in LA and Denver and Seattle and potentially Indianapolis doing shows with. And those have been really cool because I've gotten to see so many different cities and work with our band, which has been an amazing thing to put together.
Yeah. And then so what's your major, bro?
Film. I started with theater and switched over to film. I switched over to film because I wanted to be able to focus on the film aspects of what I was writing. I'm working on a few different scripts and a few different TV shows since like high school. And those are taking the back burner, obviously, because of music. But at Baylor, I've been able to learn about the film aspect and meet a lot of like really good artists that have done the pictures for a lot of the songs and videos for a few of the songs as well. So a lot of great networking.
Yeah, look at that, bro. Sound like young Gambino. We got Gambino up in there.
Bro, the funny thing about Gambino is Gambino's been an inspiration for me for so long, but I just discovered like a few months ago that he's like 36, which was such a relief, you know, because I was like, damn, this man's is really out here. And like, that's, you know, comparison always being the thief of joy, of course, but comparison also giving a lot of joy in the situation of just like, I don't have to be this person, but I also have a lot more time than I thought.
Absolutely.
Not ever saying to take a back seat or a back burner, but to say that there's no need to rush the process because I have faith that I'm gonna get there. So I need to enjoy where I am, if that makes sense.
Exactly, bro. And I definitely feel you like that. I tell people all the time, man, Gambino was definitely a huge influence. Especially, you know, you and I, we go back, we always talk about Camp 2011.
Bro, talking about Camp, dude, I discovered the Royal mixtape back in high school, just on SoundCloud. But like, he has like 6 mixtapes that he released before Camp, and I was like, hell yeah. This first album, bro, can be anything. Because I still have time. I have time to perfect it, to get the sound right.
Oh, exactly. And but Sick Boy, man, Sick Boy was trash. He had his nose stuffed up and everything. And it's like,
oh, most definitely. But potential in the trash. You know, like if you search a dumpster, you're gonna find at least one cool thing. But, you know, keep moving.
Yeah, but then you know what? We actually did talk about that our freshman year when it was you, Chase, and I. Well, we were actually picking up Chase to go to a party, and you were talking about how, you know, we got kids or people, not kids anymore. He's dead.
Right.
But we were talking about Lil Peep and how we were
Right.
both like a little bit frustrated. Like, man, this guy Lil Peep is big all of a sudden. That doesn't mean like he didn't put in work, but especially like with certain things with the content is that understanding that, all right, man, he was trendy. Obviously, he died. Rest in peace, soul. But yeah, man, talk about that like idea of like understanding that, hey, you know what, you know that you're talented, you know that you are good and that you have everything and you have it equipped and you're going to get better more. But just understanding is like, when is it going to be my time? Because
I think when it comes to when it's going to be my time, I think it's all my time. You know, like, it's not as much about what my time looks like to other people, but it's those moments where I really get to create music that I enjoy and to create things that I feel like actually matter. And I think if I've gotten recognition for songs that were only made for me and one other person, you know, I've gotten recognition from projects that I didn't think were the best quality, but people felt the heart in. And those moments are worth more than like everything. And so I think that it's helped me to keep the pacing by performing songs that I made 2 years ago and people just now getting to hear them and see like whatever I made 2 years ago, whatever I'm making now, imagine 2 years from that. There's a delay with music that people don't get to see. Artists that just spring up out of nowhere, even the songs that they drop today still were created months ago, even years ago. So I don't get to see that potential as much, but I get to feel it when I'm playing on my keyboard. I'm just like putting in momentary stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I was actually watching a video yesterday by rapper D1, and he just dropped an album called Timeless. And he said that what he did was the whole case study. He publicized it as a new album. But, and then all the publicity and everything was like, oh man, hip hop publications are saying, man, it's so good, it's great, whatever. And then after that, he revealed on his Instagram, these tracks I made a decade ago.
Yeah.
And it was glad that he worked, because he's just like, you know, people are saying that was his best work to date and everything, like, you know, because he was a little bit nervous. But also, like, the same thing, I was listening to Rap Radar when I was on my way to Austin this past summer, and I revisited with Russ, man. Russ is somebody that I see as a thought leader in terms of how he really just worked his way through. But he said, yo, when What You Want got gold in 2016, 2017. He said, oh, I made that in 2014. I had all the albums before. Oh, now they're just getting good? I've been good.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's I think when I'm focusing on the numbers and streams and that sort of thing, it gets harder to have the same passion about it. And that's been the benefit of having shows. Because I joined musical theater at Baylor just because I've been a performing artist and did theater and choir throughout high school and middle school. And so recording music is probably the hardest part of being an artist, but performing the stuff, like once we got the band and we got Gerald, our saxophonist, and Michael, who was killer on the keyboard, all of it works together because the artistry that's live and the feeling that's live is unmatched. And so that, I think that's where the confidence for the future comes in, because I can work 10 hours on these 3 songs and think they're all right, and then teach them to the band, and they're like a million times better live than they are in the recording. And so like pieces to that, however those match up, will fit eventually, but the heart of the puzzle is like already there.
That's good. That's really good. And you know what? I guess what most people don't necessarily focus on when it comes to music, or maybe no, this is my opinion, is that they don't necessarily really take it apart into like how curating an experience is important for the consumer
Right.
and for the like just for the audience, and understanding how that is beneficial to the artist to realize that the reflection of the art. It was actually last night when I was watching Insecure. Vince Staples was a guest guest starring on the show along with Amine. Amine didn't rap, but Vince did, and it was so awesome. Like the impact, like man, all these people, you know, jamming out to just a guy standing on stage. Like when, like I want you to talk about like your experience from your first show to now, like performing like so far, or like big, or keep Waco loud, or like bigger, almost like you were about to perform at South by Southwest. Just talk about that.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of that picture of like Travis Scott when he was like in front of 5 people, but now he's like, and you're on that journey, man. You're like right there, but
yeah.
And what does it take
I
to
think
do that show? To like, what does it take to create that experience too?
I think creating the experience comes from practice. My first show that I remember, I was like 4, and I played a sheep in some like Christmas play at a church. But I remember like being really excited for that moment, just because it was. I think acting is addicting. Being able to like when you get into that role that first time, you feel like people captivated by something you've created, and so from there, it's been about which characters that I've really gotten to portray in each thing. I think right now has been probably the best time because the character is something that I've created and lived in for so long. And so like Loud Show, the first one of that one was a hip hop event. There was no AC. The band that was opening was Thinking Caps, and I knew them from church. So there's some really cool people. But that first show, I hadn't performed hip hop that I had made since like I was 14 at just like a house party. And I did rap battles all the time in high school. And so that was kind of thing I was known for and got me into like rapping. I think the difference between the first Keep It Loud show and I think the best show that we've had with so far, which was like a rooftop one in Austin, was attention to the crowd and just performing practice. Because so far the shows are like at max like 100 people, and so they're pretty intimate shows. And so I've had to learn to adapt to each different crowd and really personify this energy that I think really comes from just enjoying it. We got to the So Far show, and the thing that's cool about our band is that everybody is very alienated. We're very alien artists, and so everybody is super, super different, super diverse. But our percussionist and vocalist, Daniel Sapphire, he's like, honestly, I couldn't tell you his age because he's just like an abstract creature. He's a character. He has like big ass afro and like round glasses, and he's like the most charismatic guy. But he always shows up to the shows, and sometimes the communication is off. We got to one show and the venue was changed last minute, and so we just got to the next show. And he was following us, but we didn't know where he was, and we didn't know if he was going to make it because he wasn't there when we found out that the venues were switched. So we get to the show. We're the opener for the show. We walk out onto this rooftop, and the crowd is right in front of us because we didn't know like the right entrance. So we walked in onto the back of the stage and onto the stage in front of everybody at the start of the show. And as a band, we were having such a great time just getting to the venue that by the time we walked in, we were laughing, we were goofing around, we were setting up. And as soon as they plugged stuff in just for the sound check, we were already playing things, just having fun. So I was freestyling, people were playing, and the crowd was so drawn in that the show never started. We just started it and we walked in. And so we had like 20 to 30 minutes where it was just like, some of this is the show, some of this is just me, some of this is our actual songs, but a lot of it is the crowd just having a good time. So we've gotten to the point where the songs that I was really uncomfortable with vulnerability wise, like I have a song called Fuck Tyler, which is like a song that's all about just me being a virgin and like somebody like that's dating the girl I loved is like sleeping with her. And it's a very vulnerable song, but the crowd love it because it's like funny, I guess. And I didn't realize how funny it was or how much of an impact it would have until performing it. When I was performing it, people would be like, oh my gosh, do Fuck Tyler, because it's talking about stuff that like people don't get to talk about. You don't get to feel the songs where you feel like the loser, but you still come out of it as a hero. And so I think the best part about performing is watching myself come to life. Because I don't get to understand or see my own perspective when I make the music.
Yeah.
I'm so into it that I'll spend forever on a song and not fully know what it means until I perform it, or until I practice performing, until I realize the things that I was saying, the things that God was able to say through me, the things that came up, what they actually mean. Just like in conversation, sometimes you learn things when you're talking, you know?
Yeah.
And so the performances have been the best learning experience, but the best part of being an artist, it's just been fun as shit getting to step into a world that I created just with audio.
Yeah, that's crazy. And then just with that medium of audio and how you're able to, you know, because you and your friends were just chilling, you know, having fun, goofing off, and then how you were able to draw the crowd in. That's really powerful because you know what? And honestly, that's a skill and a talent in itself. You know, like
Yeah.
I don't know, that's a skill that you need to really practice because you might be the most talented, but you know, performing in front of people and how you're able to get so many people like drawn in, you have to learn, of course, through practice. And you know,
And truth of character,
mm-hmm.
because I've found in my own music that I've never been able to fully prepare the character of each show because the venues are so different. And I performed this in places like, especially in Austin, because Austin has such diverse venues that there's no way to prepare fully for the character you're going to step into when you get on stage, because you have to match the crowd's energy. And so that's when stuff really gets to come to life, is when you have to reevaluate what you've created. Because performing the songs that I every show, every event, I'm always like, I don't think I have any content for this event. I don't have not one song that's good enough to perform at said event. And I have to go back and even with the team and listen to it and fall back in love with the sound, and then go on stage and fall in love with it again. Because as an artist, I typically question like why people need to hear my stuff at all. And then when I get up there, I realize that whatever it is in me, they need. And I still haven't been able to fully figure out what that is, except by calling it God or an anointing or stage presence.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that's really good. So now, like with that though, why do you feel like you struggle with? I mean, I guess with the idea of like, I don't know what, like, I don't know why I deserve to share my art. What do you think that root it comes from?
Probably me being a dick about art. I like, as like a close friend, when when people send me stuff and send me music and text me stuff, it's so hard for me to listen to. I'm like, nah, because I'm not a person that's like, I don't really like my phone like that. And so it's just like, it's another assignment when someone sends me something to do. And so when it comes to sharing art, it's like, I want it to be important enough for people to want to listen to it. And I value people's time because I value my own. So it's like, I want you to feel something off of this. And I'm always thinking like, if I can't front it for myself, and so that's why I don't want to make like a bunch of stuff that just feels easy to make or fun to make without the thought of who is actually listening to it. And even in that, you have to balance it. You can't just make music for other people because you want to make music for yourself. And so you end up making a million more songs than you'll ever release, just because you got to figure out what's the right one. I have songs that I'll send to the band, I'll send to my family, and they'll be like, nah, it's just weird. I'm like, yeah, but I feel it. I'm emoting. Like, I'm really, and it's mixed horribly, and I'm just like really feeling it. And in that sense, like, that's just my own medicine. And that's not a dose that I would give to someone. That's for me. It's not healthy.
That's so crazy. That's so funny because you make stuff for you, and so I think the one thing that a lot of people don't realize with artistry, whenever it comes to acting or music or writing or comedy, is the amount of no's that we get, or no's in the windows or anything like that. We're like, no, just no. Like,
Yeah.
how you as an artist? Because I heard a topic that, oh man, artists are sensitive people, and I'm like, well, some of them are. But there's some like artists that are like, I don't give a crap about what you say or what you think. Like, shut up.
Yeah.
How do you balance out like saying like, okay, I'm not gonna take that criticism or that feedback too personal? Or when do you know when it's like also when on the flip side is like, when do you know when you say, no, I'm gonna protect that and I'm gonna realize that this needs to go, and how's that worked out or how's it failed?
it goes back to process. Like a lot of the times when I'm making stuff, I just start making things, and I start making things that I like, and then I'll have to remember, like, a producer told me one time, Wavy Belly, he's cool as shit, and he knows music really well. And he was like, I think Khaki, people just need more of your bars. They just need you to just go in there and just rap more, just spit it, because you got it. And I'm like, I do got it, but I really like that guitar. I really like just kind of vibing on it. And so I'll send him like 8-minute songs of me just like harmonizing and singing and feeling it. He'd be like, nah, you gotta write something, like you gotta rap. You know, it's really just like when I get to, once I find the topic, the content, or the sound that I'm going for, finding what pieces of advice are more important in the moment. Because especially working on an album or a collection of music, it can't just be the same sound. It's a collection of who I am as a person. So it's a picture. And so I have to think, okay, what do I like? A lot of the music that I've made in the past has been stuff that I want to listen to with me and my friends, stuff that's been missing from my own catalog of music that I have to create to get that. And then another part of it is stuff that's medicinal. And another part of it is just me expressing thoughts and sound. And so each song grabs that differently. And in each song, I have to make sure that I don't just, creating responsibly, I guess, is one of the hardest parts by doing it professionally. When I was a kid, I could just do whatever I wanted. And when there was a stage, I could do that and it would be cool because I've created something. But now it's like, now that I have fans that are like listening to each different thing that's released, it's more linear. And so the creative process is oftentimes I'm like, there's too many cooks in the kitchen, you know, like stop telling me what I need to do. But at the same time, every time someone gives me something, I just add it to my log. And when I'm producing, I'm okay, what was that thought? What was this one? What was that thought? How much of this is accurate? How much of this do I need to use? And how much of this is advice for later? You know, there's some new things I can do now. If I send someone a song and they're like, oh yeah, but it could use an 808 here, I'm like, cool. But that advice doesn't even matter because I'm going to perform the song probably 8 times before I ever release it. You know, like Pride, I love that song. It's one of my favorite songs. But even in the recorded version, even the recording that's on like a private SoundCloud, the version that the band has, the version that we've heard in the house just because I have roommates, the song has been performed at all the So Far shows and people love it, but it's not done. And you know, like the process finishes when it has to, but even Lord of the Rings, Tolkien talks about not being done with it. And so there's always room for advice because stuff never stops growing.
Exactly. And just that idea of that constant pursuits of just getting better. That you know, but then like with that, when do you know when do you feel like when a song is done? When do you feel like whenever you feel like, okay, you know what, I'm satisfied with this for the time being? Because, you know, it's hard, bro. It's kind of hard because, you know, like, everybody's, oh, man, you don't need to improve it. But then sometimes you're like, I could do that better. Or I can like, say that line better than this take. Or, okay, you know what? This track, the hi-hats right there, I'm not really messing with it.
Until someone tells me or gives me deadlines to when I have to release stuff, it's really whenever I'm like, damn, niggas need to hear this. Because I went hard on this. Like, I release stuff that's like half mixed sometimes just because I'm like, y'all need to hear it now. I'll put it on Spotify to make money off of it later. But right now, people, like, I love having like, SoundCloud is a great platform of putting stuff that's just stuff for people. It's a social media platform of music for a lot of artists. And so a lot of times it's just like when I feel like people really need to hear it, that's when I put it out. Touring was cool because I could practice songs on stage, especially having a band I can follow like that. But songs like Simpler has like 10,000 views or something like that. Mm-hmm. And even that one isn't like done. We're recording that with a professional guy in Austin who runs weird audio. They make like $1,000 mics, and we're talking to them about a personal like Khaki microphone. And that was just like a trade deal from a show in like October. But the song has been out for 2 years on SoundCloud.
Yep, I remember.
10,000 views.
Yep.
But it's not released yet. I've performed it everywhere. Still not released yet. Because we also live in a time where I don't have to release it professionally for me to like make money off of it and still do things with it.
Exactly.
Cinnamon is released officially, and that one's everywhere. And that one has like, I think that one has like 2,500 or something like that, you know. And so it's still like, actually, no, I'm not even gonna say a small number. So I'm proud of shit of that 2,000.
Yeah.
You know, I'm proud of it. That's it. I'm like, hey, that shit is
You
too cool.
that, bro.
I can't even feel bad about it because that's such a cool achievement to just be able to like make something. And that song started me and Cameron Cavalier. We were working on this song like months ago, and we have a bunch of stuff because we just be making stuff, pop it in, dropping it. Yeah, like that is the playground of music. But we were working with a producer a few months ago, and he sent us this beat called Dasani. And so we were working on this like idea of this like really drippy song, and started the project, dropped the project, picked back up the project, dropped it again, and then I picked up the song. I was like, hey, I wrote a second verse for you. Mind if I go ahead and use it? He was like, run it. And so the Dasani song became the Cinnamon song. And right as I finished recording it, I got hit up by Zach Jones, the artist, for the picture. And he just sent me a picture. He was like, hey, I painted this portrait of you from a picture I took at a bar. Hell yeah. Done. Drop it. I want him to hear it. It's heat. Send it. You know? So the process is just following the passion right now.
Bro, that's so awesome. And I really like how you're still keeping your art your own, because that's a conversation that I had with some of like my friends, and how we're like, when do you know that your creative process, like, you know, when do you know, like, how do you find the balance of, all right, it's just work just to get a paycheck, to stuff that you really enjoy? Because I realized that once you move up into the industry, you have a lot of people that start to feel that way. I don't know, unless you're Drake or like Kenny or Cole, or I don't know. But I mean, like, you know, the type of people that happen to fall on a trend, because you're not trendy at all. You're more timeless. I think you're more timeless just because like you're just unique. You're just like unique. Like it's gonna be. I feel like what you and your band has. I mean, of course, you have your own blueprint and your own print, like, right? But I mean, like, it's kind of very similar to a Odd Future vibe. You know, just like Gang Collective, and like Gang Collective of just young adults who would just happen to be just individuals, weird, you know, because I know we've been called weird, but then it's just like that sense of, hey, we're just being ourselves, and you're calling us weird because you can't be weird, so it sucks on you. But it's just that balance of, all right, when does it feel like a job until when you're like, ah, man, and you really captured that pretty well.
It feels like a job whenever I have to use my phone to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like a job when I have to load files. It feels like a job when I have to keep track of, like, emails. It feels like a job when I, like, especially when I was having to keep track of dates and locations and all that kind of stuff. And that's where having, like, a team is really helpful, because my parents are my managers and they kill that stuff. And so I really don't have to do a large part of that, but it definitely feels like work whenever I'm having to learn my creative process. You know, like today I was just like downloading software for a new MIDI I bought. And it's like, that is just work. I'm not getting paid for that. This is just something I have to do so I can do what I love later. And I don't think that part will ever go away, but I was listening to an interview with Andre 3000, and he was talking about how his creative process and the passion fluctuates. And so it's important to find
the Rick Rubin. The Rick Rubin. Bro, I love that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
Like,
but he talks about the importance of finding the fun in the music now so that you can continue to do it. Because first of all, it'd be a lot of work for me to figure out like the trending sound now. Because a lot of artists and like producers will follow like the wave of music, the wave of sound, which drum patterns and stuff are being used and all that kind of stuff. That would be more work for me. But the payoff of it is that you're on the wave sound wise, and at least more viewership. But riding the wave is like half of surfing. You know what I'm saying? You still got to swim. So like, at the end of the day, the music and the process of my part of it is never really done. But getting over, not even when I'm producing stuff by myself. Producing stuff by myself is like still work, because half of the passion is with other people. I love when I get to create something and then see our saxophone player create something on top of it, when other people feel the same emotion that I'm adding onto Pride. And then it's just, I don't even have to sing right now. I can enjoy these 5 other members enjoying the world that I've built. And since I've gotten cold at freestyling, half the time I can just throw that on there in the performance.
Yeah, that's good. That's really dope. So, like, talk about like how you're able to find a team, because of course, the African proverb is, all right, if you want to go fast, go alone, but if you want to go far, build a team. Talk about when why it's important for not even just artists before, but people to be a part of a team that's going to take them to the goal that they want.
Ooh, fellowship is just it's naturally important, and it's hard to have a perspective outside of yourself if you don't have other people throwing them at you, and you need other people to mirror yourself. There's been a lot of times where I've been hanging out with people, and something that I didn't like in them, something that I did like in them, taught me something about myself. And it's the same thing with music. I've always wanted a group when performing. I started a band in high school. Even in middle school, I wanted to start a YouTube channel and needed a group for that. The struggle is still figuring out that inspiration outside of other people, but the band is just outrageously helpful for the inspiration. That it's never really been a struggle. I found Gerald, my saxophone player, at the Classy Glass open mic. The first time I went, he was performing, and I just talked to him afterward, and then just like met up with him. My keyboard player, Micah, was a friend of Gerald's, and so that worked out. Daniel Sapphire is a drummer that we met at another show. He was performing with someone on like a home with a mic and a mixer. He was throwing different voices. And when I went up, I was like, hey, do you want to perform with us? And he was like, yeah. And so he performed with us, and then we hit him up for another show that was out of town. Preston, our guitarist, came from Daniel Sapphire, and he's like, I think he's graduating high school in a few weeks actually, and he's a crazy good guitarist. In the middle of one of our songs, I don't even, which song was it? It was Paid For It or something. It was a weird like bridge part of the song. We were working through it, but he played a note that sounded like John Mayer's version of Gravity, but like the live at Nokia version. And it was cool because it was the live at Nokia version, and so I just and he picked up on it, and we just did that, and I just switched back over to my song, and we just transitioned, and I just stopped it. I was like, y'all are crazy. Like, I gotta cry. Like, y'all niggas, like, our drummer Demetrius, when I'm performing, I can like jump and point and like dance, and he'll follow the rhythm and watch the timing. And that's stuff that like I would want, but definitely wouldn't expect in the first 3 rehearsals. You know what I'm saying? And so that's just been a godsend. I think I'm an extroverted person, so I do typically talk to people, but I only talk to people when like I'm interested in them. Also, you mentioned before the collection of artists and the gang mentality, and you mentioned the Odd Future, and the idea of having a squad to create the energy that you can't create in yourself is like when a person has a kid and is now a father, and all of these different instincts kick in. Because different people awake different things inside of you. And so music and content being like my main focus right now is almost impossible without other people being able to see it, other people being able to hear it. And so even in the creative process, how dare I not have that aspect?
Yeah, that's really, really good. So basically, I mean, well, I know everybody's saying like, I've been hearing this term now a lot more. It's like, this is your baby. Like, hey, they're like, Tanaka, your podcast is your baby. I'm like, well, not really. I mean, I guess it might seem that way, but I'm just really.
When's the last time my baby fed me? You know what I'm saying?
Hey,
you know what I'm saying? Right? What you mean?
Bro, it's like, but now I'm making revenue, but I'm like, that was not even what I wanted to do. But hey, turn up, we bless. You know, most people income, LOL. But man, that's so dope, bro. Just to be able to see that, you have it's so, I don't want to say this prematurely. It's like for now in this present moment, you found a collective, you found a group that you're vibing with and that you're creating with. Because I know that's something both you and I, we both were stating about that within the theater department. It's like, all right, we the only black niggas out here, bro. We the only niggas up in this bitch.
Very true.
Bro.
That's been the average for me in my entire life, though. So that was never that was never a problem in the theater department for me. Because I was like, first of all, being a part of any theater department, I've never really been a part of a theater department that was like predominantly minority anything. You know what I'm saying? And so like that wasn't even a new hurdle for me as much as it was like I'm really gonna be that nigga again. You know, like, you know, I don't know what exactly that is, but have you ever felt like in the entertainment world, your skin color is like an unspoken bonus?
Yes.
And like, I couldn't take that into like a math class. I couldn't take that into like the business world, but I love that in the art industry, like when I walk on stage and just start dancing, people fuck with it.
Yeah.
And it's not because I'm dancing super cool. It's not because I'm doing the best thing. It's just because the confidence and the energy, and also white people just love seeing a nigga dance, man. Bro, I don't know what that is. I can't explain what that is, bro. But dancing, like, is probably one of just the best, like, that's totally off the topic. But that's just
no, man, I don't care, bro.
like, that's the theater department was an amazing spot because it showed me that people are the same everywhere.
Absolutely.
Regardless of where you're going to be, people are going to be the same. And so you have to be the factor that changes the situation if it needs change. And if not, you have to know your place and know where you need to be. Because the theater department could be an amazing theater department, but that's also just not where I was supposed to be. I think I was actually supposed to be there that year, though. Khaki, I think that year was very beneficial for me, but not in the long run. And I heard about that monologue class for sophomore year, and I knew I didn't need to be in that bitch. Who was it? Nick, our freshman year, a guy named Nick, he said that if you could see yourself doing any other profession, then you got to get out of theater. And I knew when he said that it was true, because I couldn't say the same thing about music. I couldn't see myself doing anything other than music. I couldn't see myself doing anything other than writing, regardless of if it's music or film, scripts, books, whatever. But theater is one of those things that I was like, is a part. It's a medium for everything I'm supposed to be doing. And so, like, when it comes to dedication and prioritizing, being mature enough to know where you're supposed to be.
Absolutely. And you know what? That advice really helped me. The only reason why, well, I don't want to make it sound bad, but the reason why I'm still there, or I stuck around, was because it's the base. Like, it is a medium, but I'm like, if I want to go towards, like, acting or anything, let me learn the foundation, especially at such a great, wonderful institution. Like, we ranked in, we actually moved up spots, we're number one in the school, number one in the state, top 15, number 11 in the country. And it's just like, yo, and there's some actually real value that I'm learning here. And then I remember I was telling Lisa, like, what I was on, and she said, like, you know what, I see 100% exactly that, and I'm so glad that you are still able to stick around and really find what you did. Like, it's a shame in shows, and I'm like, well, maybe that's not what I'm supposed to be. It's like, I want, like, most of my stuff wants to be filmed, but I'm not disregarding the stage, because the stage is important, and understanding that there's a difference between doing things from cut to cut. When you're able to fully experience that whole euphoric experience of a whole, like, thing, not mess ups, everything like that, you can't learn that on a film set.
If I didn't do theater and show choir, the performance on stage would be so different. And Price is actually the stage manager for Khaki Crew. And, like, not only was that an amazing connection, but musical theater being the connecting factor, because the performance aspect of being a recording artist can't be denied. And theater and show choir have taught me just, like, how to keep a smile while I'm out of breath. Like, how to talk to the crowd in between stuff, just like the presence that you need. In film, you have the camera, so you're very close. But I also feel like that was the thing in theater, was like different acting styles. I've always had a more film acting style than a theatrical acting style, just because I'm a big person with smaller expressions,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, man, I definitely feel that. But there's so much value in, like, man, bro, there's so much value. Like, that's so dope. That is so awesome. I mean, like, back on what you said about the character thing. So are you saying that Khaki's a character, or is Khaki you? Because I remember that during Gambino's 2013, because of the internet, the boy, he was playing a whole character throughout that time. Like, Donald Glover was not like Donald Glover. He was portraying the boy for the album, for promo and all that stuff, wearing the hoodies and whatever. I mean, it was like a weird period for him. So, like, for you, he's Khaki. Oh, can you hear me?
Hold on. I don't know if my service is being weird or if it's my Wi-Fi. We have like 4 TVs downstairs, and they've been playing Fortnite and Halo, and so this service gets rough sometimes. I'm sorry. What was your question?
I was about to say, so is Khaki a character?
Khaki is definitely a character. I'm still figuring out his exact role, but Khaki is the captain of the rebels. He is a leader amongst aliens and is from a very distant planet. And he's figuring out how to be honest about his differences in a world that is trying to look at him as if he's the same. Khaki is also a character because performance-wise, it's easier to separate your reality from who you're performing to be. Because I've definitely performed when I didn't feel like it. And so like Khaki isn't anxious. Khaki doesn't get depressed. Khaki doesn't jerk off. Khaki doesn't have terrible breakups and emotions that are, Khaki's story is a little separate. And so it's a little easier to jump into the world that I've created and then jump out so I can create that world. Because I don't think Khaki could create it. Trey does have to write it. But.
That's definitely interesting, man. Whoa.
It also helps because I've never fame is a scary word for my mind. I don't want to be like, I think Trey should never be famous. I like the idea of being famous. I like the idea, and so I think I couldn't stay in Khaki because they're not friends with him. If that makes sense.
Well, hold on. It was breaking up a little bit in there, but you said you don't want Trey to be famous, but you want Khaki to be famous?
Yeah, it's really just because there's a separation. Family or friends with Trey, and that creates the wacky. And so I couldn't stay in this professional mode where I'm always talking about work.
Yeah. So what happens what's going to happen when you will become famous?
Nothing different. It's pretty much the same. Because Khaki is just a better version of Trey, and Khaki is who Trey wants to be, And so it's not like a 2 personalities thing. It's really just that when I go on stage, I have to leave all the problems and issues behind because I'm presenting something. And so creating this character makes it easier than going on stage and be like, I'm Trey. What does that name remind me of? All of these issues that I live with and I'm consistent with. But people don't want my baggage. They want my solutions to my baggage. And so even in issues that I know the answer to and I'm struggling with, like when I go through situations with relationships and stuff, and I know the solution, I know the answer, I know the issues, even with like content and purpose, I figured those things out, but still have to do them. And Khaki's already figured them out. That's why he's performing.
Definitely a very interesting. I've never, like, all the interviews I've listened to artists, bro, I've never really heard that, man. But it's
just because I'm a writer. So it's just like, this is how I think of it. The hardest part with being an artist is like thinking of it and figuring out how to illustrate it where people see that. Because when I come on stage, they don't know that there's a difference between Trey and Khaki. They only meet Khaki.
Yeah.
And so that's the cool thing is like, I'm painting it, even like social media. The depression from social media is that we're all painting a better picture of our lives than the reality of it. Absolutely. And so if I get to create a world with artistry where I get to create my reality as a better version, but still show you the pain in it so you learn from it, I'm just doing what we're all supposed to be doing with our art.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's good. This is what I'm going to actually use for a clip. This is, it's fire. But then, speaking on social media, like, you said you're not the biggest social media guy. I'm still not the biggest social media guy, but I'm still trying to figure that out. Like, understanding that rather than thinking and say, I'm not the biggest because I don't want to be on there, but I'm now understanding the opportunity that it presents and how it's, it's the new real estate, especially now, like during this time, it is the new landscape of real estate, like digital real estate is where it's at. But like you were saying that, that notion of like, is a better impression of what's going on in our lives, right? So whenever you are on it or whenever you interact on it, how are you able to project a authentic picture of what's going on in your life rather than falling into the trap of, oh my gosh, this thing is cool? Because I really feel like everybody's trying, like, see, not everybody, but there's people that are doing something. I was listening to Gary Vee earlier today. They're posting pictures, they're posting stuff that they don't want to, but everybody's reacting to it differently to them what they want to do. And then after that, they're feeling that they're in this conundrum, but really it's just a plastic piece of paper and zeros and ones that are there. Like, it's so crazy how freaking, like, this thing and this, like, little free app
can make your life
your
so
life.
much. Right. It's about motives for me, because I feel trapped in social media a lot because I'm an artist, so I like have to get good at it so I can make money and so I can make fans and all that kind of stuff, so I can interact with people. But I really don't like enjoy it like that. So I really focus on my motives. Why am I doing this? Like, why am I posting this? Am I posting this because everybody's posting something today because it's a holiday? Am I posting something because I actually have something I want to say or something I want them to see? And so a lot of it is posting as if I'm actually talking to people rather than just working the algorithm. I can't say that that's been successful or anything. I think that as I grow as an artist, I'm going to have to probably make compromises and post more content just because I need to feed the fans who are feeding me as well. But hopefully I get to keep that as authentic as possible and really posting what is on my mind and is on my heart, or just something that I truly believe in, instead of just posting because the algorithm means I need to.
Yeah. Yeah, stupid algorithm, bro. My gosh. But that's why TikTok is really dope, because it's organic, but now they're about to be changed. The algorithm's about to be changed. It's like super quick.
Yeah, but that's the hard part right now is, like, as an artist, I want to make art, and I've been making art my entire life because I enjoy it. And so now I don't want to change that because it matters more. And even, like, I made more music when I was busier, when I was touring, when I was super busy and focused, because inspiration is coming from everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
How can I not be inspired when I'm in Seattle and I'm talking to a fan that I met in Austin who's actually from Mexico? You know what I'm saying? Like, how can I not be inspired when there's people who are, like, talking to Khaki all the time? But then quarantine hits, and it's me and my niggas shirtless talking about Fortnite for 10 hours. Khaki is nowhere to be found. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not even the mindset. And I sit down at the computer and I'm like, all right, what am I actually going to produce? And so the process is very different, and social media has, like, been helpful in the form of connection, but in the form of, like, being a reminder of the work I have to do, it's really just a stress thing.
Yeah. Crazy, man. That is so crazy. I mean, that's pretty interesting, bro.
What do you do to overcome the hurdle of social media? Because you never, like, whenever we hang out, you're not a person that's always on their phone. You're not talking to me about what other people have been talking about or anything like that. And so, like, what do you do to keep your social media authentic?
That's something for me. What I usually do is, man, because I remember Maurice was telling me about this, like, the podcast, you know, like, slow down and try to find a strategy, because everybody's trying to find a strategy how to beat the algorithm, right? But at this point, I'm just like, man, I could give less of a flip. If people see it, they see it. People don't, they don't. Like, it really it's just coding in 0 and 1s.
But how do you overcome the people who are like, but you gotta hustle, but you gotta be on there every morning talking to them about whatever's in your mind. Like, you gotta be the first thing they see when they wake up, and you gotta post at 11 and at 2 and at 8 because that's when everybody's on there.
Yeah, that's exactly what Maurice was telling me. You got to figure that out, find that time. And I'm just like, I tried it, like, for like a week, and I'm just like, bro, this is so inorganic and not authentic to, like, what I do.
Yeah.
And, like,
rapping strategies for social media, I gotta hit up people. I gotta be in the comment sections. I gotta be like that 14-year-old kid who's like, I'm a 14-year-old producer from Asia, and I'm like, bro, and I'm not even gonna lie, he's a cool ass nigga because his beats gas.
Well,
Like,
bro,
he's chill, but I can't even knock the hustle because it's so hard for me to get in that mindset where I actually give a fuck. And I think that's probably one of the hardest things as artists in our generation, because other artists were out there selling CDs out of backpacks.
Yes.
I don't have to do that. If I make a dope ass song in 2 minutes, it's released on SoundCloud, it's released on Spotify, it's up there, it's done. So the weird part is like getting into the hustle when I'm laying in bed.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
bro,
saying?
I have a separation. I have a time. I'm just like, you know what? I'm just not. I actually, Lord willing, I actually got in touch with a management team, and now they manage my social media for me. And I'm just like, why management? I never had anybody like this is all new.
Yeah.
But really, it's just like I post, and like if you like it, awesome. I just post, share it on my story, and I'm just like, hey guys, I made something new. If you like it, awesome, dope. If you don't, whatever. Like that's cool because
Yeah.
it's just this idea of for me personally. I read this book, this Asian philosophy book from China, the Tao Te Ching, and it's just one of my favorite sayings. Is just like is number 40, where it says the movement of ways is reversal. Where there is weakness lies the use of ways. The social world's 10,000 natural kinds of ways arise from presence. Presence arises from absence. And so by the fact that I have an absence, and meaning that I'm not necessarily focusing on my presence on that place, on an absent screen, I just kind of reverse engineer it. I'm like, well, you know what? I'm just going to post this, and I'm just going to not even listen to what, like, you know, you got to post this, post that, post that. Well, yes, it does help with the strategy, and it does help. Like, of course, you want more exposure, but rather, I'm like, why would I want to be? I don't want to be overly exposed to the point where I feel like I'm like a slave to it. I just want to be getting
Right.
like if whatever thing content that post. Honestly, it's really for me. Most of the stuff that I post is just like, hey, these are notes to self. These are just notes to self, like all my content, like a little video. I'm just recording, and it's just like it's just a way to document things. Like, oh, hey, oh, on this day, I really posted about that, and look how it's coming back into my life, and I'm able to put that great energy out there, or just something that's powerful, and then people are actually feeding off of it, and I'm like, that's not even my intention. Really, it's more selfish. It's like just a note to self rather than like. But then I realized that you know what, if I can give some access to information or some free, or if something that is valuable to somebody, well, that's what is going to come back to me tenfold, and that's just going to help with the whole cycle again. So I don't really necessarily pay attention to that. And I'm just like, you know what, I'm just going to give what I feel like is my heart.
Yeah.
And after that, like, just let it be. If people are like really like it and they mess with it, awesome, great. If they don't, that's fine. Ain't nobody going to do with that. And so that's how it works for me, man. That's really how it works.
I think my conflict with social media has been more about because you mentioned posting like what you like, and I never really have to post on social media. Like I really post because I know that I should. You know, like my struggle is like I know that I need to come up with content. I'm having to create more content. Like I've found recently that it's easier to find out what content I already have than to create content unnaturally. But it's still unnatural for me to even pull out my phone in those moments. Like some of the best stuff has been just like me like playing around the keyboard. I really enjoy this stuff. Me showing my production, me like just freestyling. That stuff is great. But I do that most of the time and the camera is never there. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like going out of my way to capture those moments to create content when I really don't care if people see it. I just know that they should, because that's the way that I'm going to make like the money and the success that I'm needing.
Bro, exactly, man. The attention economy, bro. That is attention economy is so trivial.
Yeah.
There's a person that you should watch their YouTube. She's bad. She's very beautiful. Her name is Alex Wolf, and she's a tech philosopher. She's a tech anthropologist. She's amazing.
Okay.
Alex Wolf, AlexWolff. She just
Okay.
talks about technology. She talks about attention economy. She talks about all this cool stuff and the relation to it and like the science behind it. She's a huge internet nerd. And I'm a huge nerd, and I'm just like, man, like you have my nerd heart, because it's just like, not only are you smart, but you're beautiful, but you're actually portraying a real message and how it's going to resonate with people in their marketing. See, the thing is, with my stuff, I'm not necessarily trying to market for everybody. It's just that, hey, if people resonate with that, just that resonance and that natural marketing, yeah. And then if it gets exploded tenfold, I'm not really worried about like this. If I become famous, cool. Then after that, I can hire like a team that's really going to do the dope stuff and know all the ins and outs about it, because that's just not what I'm interested in. And see, like, but like, be like, you know, going into entrepreneurship and going into, I mean, see, hate saying the word entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship is just the way that you live your life, how you're able to create new things with the things that are already there. But like going into the field where I'm going to wanting to own my own multimedia enterprise and being able to be surrounded by, I'm not going to know everything about social media. I want to write the movies and I want to be there and I want to film them and I also want to act in them. But I need the people around me that are just going to know everything about it. So I just talk to people. Oh, how do you do this? How do you do that? How am I able to do, like, man, right now I'm a solopreneur right now. And at this point, I'm just like, well, I just read on the internet and I'm like, okay, if this works, boom, I try it out. It's just trial. Trial and error, man.
Yeah, doing it by yourself is definitely harder than necessary in the entertainment business because you just don't have to. A lot of times you're bringing the vision, you're bringing the energy, you're bringing the passion and purpose. But even with the band, like I bring the purpose, I bring the song, I bring the energy and the motive. And oftentimes I bring some chords and some lyrics, but everything that you're seeing on stage is a collection of everybody's knowledge, even down to us having sound comes to some other guy who's doing the technician or somebody who happens to have a dongle because somebody had a blackened cord. You know, like teamwork comes in so many different ways that it's never really, even as you strive for success, it never gets to be about you when you do it right.
Exactly. So now with that, like this way, so what that word success, what does it mean for Trey Moffett / Khaki Boy successful? Khaki Boy.
I think success is when I find a way to present the content that God has put in my heart and do it in a way that reaches the people it needs to. But also I think it allows a space for freedom for the people who have been really important to me. Because creation is hard when it has limits, I think, or is at least harder. And so a lot of people don't get to live at their full potential just because of the limits that are on our life. And so like creating music, if I never had to pay for anything I wanted, if I never had to pay for anything to get the inspiration, if I want to write a movie in a different country, it takes all these resources. And so success is really just a thing that is necessary for all the other goals. You know, like I want to have a houseboat on Lady Bird Lake in Austin and do shows from it, have people watching from the bridge. Well, how do I do that? A, I have to be successful enough to have the fans that are on the bridge. B, I have to be successful enough to get city approval. C, I have to have enough money to get the boat, you know, like, and then I still have to have all the songs I'm going to perform, you know? So it's like, just to get to that vision, I have to be successful in so many other places that it's necessary for me to even have, or it's necessary for me to be successful to be more successful.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just such a conundrum, bro. It is such a weird thing.
Well, it's great because you got to earn that. You know what I'm saying? Like as much as I would say I want everybody to have the ability to do whatever God wills, it's just really not possible because the work that takes is hard and is sacrificial for a long time. You know, how many shows have I done for free before I got a show where they made me a deal, before I got a show where they decided to ask for, like, before I could even ask for payment, where I had decisions and choices to make before I get a green room. You know, like every step has its different perks.
Yeah, man, just that sacrifice, bro.
Yeah.
Just sacrifice. Sacrifice has been and always will be the name of the game.
Yeah. I'm also not in a position with like a lot of artists where I am looking for fame to get me out of a hole that I'm already in. You know what I'm saying? Like my family was homeless when we were in high school. And just because of the glory of God, we've recovered really well from all of that. But I'm not in a position where I'm looking to be famous to like pay off anything or move my family out anywhere. Or I'm still figuring out what God wants me to do and why I need to do so much to do it. You know?
Yeah.
Because I know that I need resources that I don't have that are coming from opportunities that I have to make.
Yeah, that's really good. That's wow. Wow. That's actually pretty that's very powerful. Yeah. So I mean, now with that though, I guess I'm just gonna go into the last questions, the last couple questions that I usually ask my guests. Um,
Okay.
See, it's not even funny because I usually have some questions that I do ask, but really this podcast is just like us talking.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
what I
these are
love,
things that we talk about anyway.
bro. Right. So
Easily.
now my first question for you is, what are two things that you would want to tell Trey 3 years ago? What would you tell him?
Um, Start growing my hair. Uh, don't cut it a year and a half later. But I think I would also say not to rush so much, because 3 years ago and 3 years from now, things have gotten so much better in ways that I didn't imagine.
Yeah.
And I think 3 years ago, I was still filled with a lot of faith and still really hopeful for the future. And so I would go back and encourage myself just so that some of those lonely nights were a little easier, you know, letting
So
myself know that, like, hey, you will still be around in 3 years and things are going to be a lot better and you're going to be more financially stable and you'll have a lot more shirts with your logo on it. And I'd have been like, cool, good to know.
yeah, yeah. Hello?
When you're writing an email, do you say good afternoon in your name, comma, or good afternoon, comma?
It depends. Who are you talking to? It's my sister. I'm gonna keep this in the film. I don't care.
Teacher?
Teacher. He said, "Good afternoon, Miss blank or Mr. Blank blank blank, comma." uh, Now, so are you saying that you're not hopeful now, or you're just telling yourself you would tell them, "Hey, be more hopeful. Everything's gonna be all right."
Yeah, I often think about, like, especially when I was younger, what I would tell myself, or if I was like reborn with all the memories, I'd be different. But I don't really believe that I have a whole lot of control of my destiny outside of obeying what God wants me to do, because I feel like that's the only option I have for being happy, especially since I can't visualize or plan what my own happiness looks like. And so going back, like, even though I don't agree with all the decisions I've made, I still trust the process.
Hey.
You know, like, I wouldn't want future Trey to come and tell me anything, because then I'd be a little more impatient. I'd be like, damn, nigga, like, what am I going to really wear at the Grammys now? You know what I'm saying? I'd probably spend money on a grill that I'm not going to wear for 3 years. You know what I'm saying? Like, don't let me prep that stuff ahead, because I really know the things I need to know when I need to know them. Like, I tell my management, I'm like, don't even tell me about the stage setup until the week of the show. Because if you tell me that early, I'm going to plan everything and I'm going to forget it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think we don't give God enough credit for knowing how much he knows. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
he's got it. Just give me the instruction. I got it. Give me the ball. I'll shoot. If I miss it, somebody else is going to score eventually. Not saying it's not responsibility to try, but the pressure of creating my entire reality isn't on me. I have the responsibility of creating Khaki's reality so that he can create Trey's.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Okay, such a good way to say it, man. Because I know sometimes, and see, I've actually been very, very right now in a space of, with Hustle and Motivate. I still have the Hustle and Motivate page, but I'm not posting stuff like "you gotta go." It's like,
yeah,
just flow. Like, I think
yeah,
too many times we put the word hustle, like, no, like, without a doubt, you gotta work hard and do
yeah, definitely.
But there's things that that are not of your control that you can't, like. I mean, you can't control. The only thing that you can control is just what you can control, like your mental, like, just your health. That's honestly really it at this point. Like, just your
Yeah,
health. How obedient are you going to do the small task that is going to get you to the next task?
yeah.
Everything.
You control your work ethic as well.
Yes.
And even that is a grace, even having the grace to do stuff. Because I've recorded songs. I swear some songs sound better recorded when I'm sick, and I can't plan when I'm sick. You know what I'm saying? But I can plan that when I'm sick, I'm still going to work on something, and then trust that, like, God will bless it, and we'll see.
Yeah, man. So it's an interesting concept because I'm not trying to tell people, man, you gotta hustle hard because you know that can definitely be I feel like of course at the beginning. Like I'm just thinking about running the 400. Like you're gonna sprint that curve, fast. But you want to
Right.
that 150 so you can come back around and give that final push. But either way, it's just life is just so weird, bro. Man, there's so many questions, bro. I can't wait to get to heaven and ask God. So what was happening? Like, why did that happen? Oh, this.
Yeah, and just like being open to seeing how things happen, because so much of life is about perspective. So much of vision is about perspective, I would say. And so, like, even in the picture of my own life, being open to seeing how things worked out, I've been chewing on a thought that God has planned all of our flaws to work out for the kingdom, meaning that all of the things that I struggle with, like growing up, I struggled with alone time. I was not a very lonely person, but I've always been extroverted. And so I've always like needed other people for energy. I needed other people for like purpose and like finding my own self. In that, he's used that for this draw with like people. I'm always just very attracted to meeting new people, being helpful with people, being service with people, and making those connections so that I can really be a hero if God needs me to be. Because like that's his example. And so he's used all of my flaws. I've gotten to see him use all of my flaws for the life that he's created in a way that's blessed other people and have blessed me. And so it's the perspective that I've been after, even in my music, finding the right perspective of how I tell this story of who Khaki is. Because if I'm creating a world, even if you're writing a book, you're writing a script, what person are we? Are we in first person? Are we in third person? That's going to affect the entire view. And so for my own life, if I just look at my perspective, I'm probably going to be more selfish, more upset, more offended, more confused. But if I look at a perspective outside of myself and I'm in third person, sometimes I really get to see how things affect me and how they affect other people. And if I take a left here and miss that turn, who knows what happened on that street? But I got to trust that, hey, I'm on this one. I just got to drive safe still.
Yeah, man, that's so good. Big picture question. What would you like to see change in America?
You really, that is a really big question. I think about that every time I log on to Twitter. I think, damn, what would I even want to change? You know, like there's so many, it's harder to say what would I want to change versus what do I know people want to change, because my reality is very calm. I know racism is a thing, but like I'm chilling right now. You know what I'm saying? And so like I want people to step outside of their reality for a second. I want people to realize how little they actually matter.
Yeah.
You know, not in a suicidal or dark sense, but in an optimistic sense of I matter so much more to the things I affect than the things that affect me. And so figuring out how to be a helpful role instead of how to be another voice. Even in music, I could talk about things that have so many words to use. If I was going to I can make an entire album off racism with stories that have never touched my doorstep. You know, I could talk about things that I have touched my doorstep, but have been voiced already. I don't want to be another voice, but I really want to be a voice that offers different perspectives. And to do that requires silence sometimes.
Absolutely. And that's good. And you know, that's kind of in the same sense what Michael Jordan did with his career. Michael Jordan wasn't the biggest advocate for, hey man, we getting shot up, or hey, this isn't fair, or anything political, because I guess he knew his role. And and sometimes, you know, that is your best role. Like sometimes your voice isn't necessarily needed to be the voice, But I mean, with whatever talent, whatever thing that you have, you bring awareness. You bring you bring awareness, like whether it's monetary, whether it's like like giving perspective or anything like that. There's so many different mediums in doing that. Oh,
Yeah.
and there we go. And exactly what you just said. That's also my approach with social media. That's the one thing I'm really big on. Is understanding that, dude, I'm the dopest person I'm so amazing. Isn't a sense like that confidence? I'm like, I'm so amazing because one, from a religious aspect, I've been created by God the Creator, which is dope.
Right.
I'm a creation. But to more practical level, there's no other me that will ever exist. There will be no Tanaka Tava. There's no one like me. You can make a copy like Dolly the sheep. That the copy died. Right. It was originally Dolly. There's nobody. Like I'm me. Like you can't change that.
But and in that, there's no reason to say something that other people have already said.
Exactly. And in addition, and on top of that, no matter how awesome I am, I'm literally just a little blimp in this universe, and I'm only here for a microsecond in the grand scheme of things. And I'm going to die anyway. So it's like that's a balance of like two extremes. You're amazing, whatever, but also have the humility, understanding that we are so small. We are so small. It's so crazy.
Yeah. Understanding the truth of who you are and where you are. Because even though I'm doing things that are leading up to me being a person who I've been seeing and dreaming of since childhood, at the end of the day, I'm still Trey. And so every day I have to figure out who Trey really is. And I have to be open enough to say Trey is flawed in these areas. Trey is still, I was still created by God. I'm still a child of God, loved by God, and amazing because of all of those reasons. But until I'm honest enough with myself to not to know everything that I don't know, and to speak when I really know, I don't think I'm living honestly. And so a lot of people, I feel like, because it's gotten so much easier to talk, people are able to vocalize truths that they don't live in or walk in. Mm-hmm. And I feel like there's no point in being a celebrity, do it like everyone else. So one of my biggest goals, I guess, artistry-wise or success-wise, is being overly successful for a person with the moral grounds that I have. Because you don't get to see a whole lot of role models that are celebrities. As much as I listen to more Drake than I'm proud of, I can't look up to him. You know what I'm saying? Even though I love Kendrick Lamar and I love his life, I'm inspired by Jay-Z. They're not people whose characters I look up to. I look up to Chance the Rapper. I look up to Childish. And even still, I still worry that Childish is like a jerk, and I'm going to find that out one day when I meet him. But I really want people to have a celebrity to look up to that inspires them to be better people, not just have better things. I just look better, not just like have more stuff, but actually be better. And if that means that I don't wear a chain or I'm this big Grammy-winning artist who's still a virgin, I'm going to have to do it. Because if I'm doing it the way everyone else is doing it, I have nothing to talk about and I have no happiness to enjoy. And I'd probably lose all my friends because they didn't become friends with this person who didn't care about anything else but himself.
Exactly. And that's it's so interesting, man. But what about Ye? What about Ye? You think he has good moral ground?
Ye, I think he does. And I think it's because, first of all, growing up, my mom always told me that Kanye was a Christian and whatever he was doing, God was going to get his heart eventually. Because he started off as a Christian, he started out talking about God. And not to say that my music even, like, not to say that I have praise songs or I'm a Christian rapper, but the heart is always going to show. Mm-hmm. And so I feel like, yeah, I think Ye's heart is good. I hope. I definitely felt the praise in Jesus is King. And I hope that continues. But I also hope there's balance in that, because we've gotten to see who Kanye struggles to be, and we're getting to see who he is. and he's been famous for so long that I just imagine it's got to be hard as shit. Because I've heard stuff like, and encountered this on my own stuff. A lot of people will love my music, but a lot of people will also say like, oh, but like he talks about being a Christian, but he cusses a lot, or he smokes. He talks about these different things, and these are my realities. And so I had to figure out, truth and continue to grow as I need to, because I don't want to put on a front and be like, yeah, like I feel like you could take advantage of different fan bases. You could split who you are. Even as like a motivational speaker, you could only talk about Christian content, or you could talk about stuff that you actually talk about. And so finding the honesty is one of the hardest parts of the creative process this early, because it's a make or break season in that balance. Kanye blew up and he was a Christian, but his first album wasn't talking about anything that was overtly Christian. And now he has the ability to have the freedom to talk about whatever he wants, no matter what anyone cares about. That's hard. Even Chance the Rapper has his last two albums, he was talking about God, but his first two, he wasn't. And it's, where do you figuring out how to do that right? Because I don't want to hide God.
Exactly. And see, I'm not even trying to be a motivational speaker, bro. I'm just an actor. Well, actually, you know what? I'm not an actor. I'm labelless. I'm limitless.
I mean, and like it's definitely hard to label you, because you've been doing you've been doing a lot. You know what I'm saying? And so like, so as a personality, like that's what I would want for you, is like, if I could imagine Tanaka, Tava in like 10, 15 years, what does that look like to me? Is just a personality that people trust for wisdom, which is one of the things that I want to be as well, regardless of the medium. A personality that people trust to be a good person, to get it, regardless if they're a Christian or not a Christian. I want them to still tweet at me and ask me questions, and me respond to them what I think. You know?
Exactly. And you know what? In that, there's so much beauty in that. Dude, and there's this great podcast that I listened to about this philosopher, or not even a philosopher. He was the creator of AngelList, and he's an investor. And what he said was, you know, I do the stuff that I do. You know, I'm creating a podcast. I said I wasn't going to do a podcast, but I created a podcast because I like the fame a little bit. And I like when people ask me questions, like, you know, like, what's not there to like? But I don't want it all the time. And that's a thing where I'm a little bit like, you know, nervous about. Like, and no, honestly, if I was to be completely 100% honest, it's like I never expected. And this was a question I was about to ask you, like, what is your ideas, or what are your thoughts about prophecy? Like, whenever you have somebody prophesy over your life, and, you know, being a Christian, like, do you believe in that? Or, because, you know, like, I've had so many prophecies that happened in my life, and I actually had one that was recently, like, happened in January. And then after that, watching Transformation Church last week Sunday, and Pastor Mike talking about his recording about somebody that had the prophecy. Jakar wrote this prophecy that was spoken over me. And now it's like, things are starting to come into fruition, but I'm a little bit hesitant, because I'm like, is it really happening? I never expected, like, the prophecy said I'm going to own an enterprise that is going to change people's lives, going to take care of my family. They knew my middle name. I didn't even say my name. And then so it's just like that. And but, you know, and you have parents who are in ministry, but there's also people that use the word of God and they scam niggas.
I think I've definitely gotten a lot of prophecies over my life, and I've experienced. Sometimes I'll walk into a church and people come up to me and like, that probably happens all over the place, but people typically come to me at churches and prophesy that I'm a creator and God's birthing a new sound through my life. And I don't tell them I'm an artist, and people come to me and be like, oh, you're a rapper and you're doing big stuff. I'm like, you don't even know who I am. Nah, but I can see it. Cool. Because I think I've just been getting it for so long that it's not very helpful. It's just like, you know what I'm saying? Like, these are realities. Yes, I agree. I believe it for it too, you know?
Yeah. So, it's so weird, man. But now my last question for you, bro, is I think you kind of answered it, but I guess like a more definitive. What do you want your legacy to be?
I want to teach people how to have really good, solid relationships and help people with their having a good, honest, and healthy perspective of themselves. And I really want to give a bunch of wisdom through my music and be known as like a musical guru. You know? Like I want to be able to I want people to hear my stuff and like leave with like answers for their life through just like bars that I have that make sense. I use a lot of metaphors too when I'm talking to people, and when I do that, when I freestyle, I do that a lot. But when I'm writing, I'm trying too hard. And in the future, I imagine my legacy will be one where whenever I open my mouth, it's just wisdom. Regardless of if it's music, if it's a script, if it's a book, being filled with the fruit of righteousness.
That's awesome, bro. My segment of the show, Speak Life, bro. I love you, nigga, bro. I love you so much.
My man.
My guy. Bro, I'm incredibly proud of you, bro. I'm so glad to see how far that you have come and how far that we're going to go.
Bro, I'm proud of you too. You're doing big things. And I'm proud of your hustle too. You keep me inspired, especially when I'm on Instagram and I'm like, damn, how am I going to do this? I'm like, yo, Tanaka is hustling. I love that. I love it.
See, but the thing is, I don't like the hustler's mentality. I don't believe in that. The hustler's mentality is more man-made and manufactured.
Very
the
true.
mentality that I'm living is a God mentality. I don't want to make it seem blasphemous, but when you really look in like John chapter 10:34, it says that are you not gods? Not meaning that we are God ourselves.
Right.
But we've been invested and we have the same creator and have the same power. And I'm actually becoming more vocal about it too, because I remember I think when I listen to Kanye's old stuff, you know, when people freaked out saying, "Oh, he's still freaked out saying I'm a guy," he's like, no, he's not saying that he's God, but he says that we literally have the power of God within us, and once we start tapping into the source and we have that vertical relationship with that and understand our purpose, it becomes flow. So rather, I am walking out the God that is within me, or God's purpose within my life. So it might seem like I'm hustling, but really it's just a state of flow. And I'm just grateful that I'm just being in tune and I'm just staying aligned with him and really listening and tuning into his voice. Because I tweeted about it 2 years ago, bro. I know, like in the last week. And I said 2 years ago, man, I was trying so hard to imitate something that I wasn't, and I lost. Mm-hmm. But like after that ayahuasca experience that I was talking to you about, and honestly seeing that, and I'm just like, man, and seeing how awesome that I am as a person, but also how insignificant and how I've hurt people and how I've used my gift as a way to hurt a person. And I'm just like, never in a position, I never want to do that again. God, just let me be you and just use me as you would have your son. Right. And so it's just like, hey, here you go. But I received that, bro. I received that.
Yeah.
Nah, bro, but bro, you're doing big things, man, and I'm proud, and I'm telling you, bro, you inspire me, and I'm just like, bro, this guy with his creativity, his individuality, not changing who he is, and just really just staying rooted in who God has called you to be, enjoying and living the life of freedom that you're going to. I'm just gonna be like, I'm gonna take my kids one day, and we're gonna go to one of your concerts, like, hey, bro, that's Uncle Trey right there.
That's right.
Or be like, or I legit visualize us at a Grammys or at an Emmys or at an Oscars. Really, I really visualize and dream like, bro, Trey and I are really gonna be there, and it's gonna be so awesome. It's gonna be so dope. One way, some way, somehow. But that's when you speak in life, bro. I love you so much, man. No, but I dead ass. I visualize that. I'm like, bro, this is gonna happen.
Oh, definitely. I've seen it a few times. It's really just continue to get there. You know, I don't even want it right now. You know, I want what's already here for me because the present is the present, right?
And that's all the time that we have now. That's it. Not the past,
Yeah.
the present, not the past or the future. Just right now.
That's right.
All right, but y'all, that's it for episode 220. I hope you had a great episode. Hey, Khaki, where can the people find you or your management?
Oh, yes. Khaki_creations is my Instagram. Khaki Crew on Twitter and on SoundCloud. Khaki on Spotify. And Khaki Creates at Gmail for management and booking. If you hit up Khaki Connect at Gmail, you'll get me. But Khaki Creates will reply much faster.
All right, y'all. We are out.